The first scream did not come from the living. It came from the grave. Long before dawn broke over Atakpa, before the cocks crowed or the elders stirred, a voice rose from the earth low, angry and full of pain. This is not my place. In Atakpa, everyone knows one truth. Death is never the end. No. Death is only the beginning of questions. There was a law no one joked with. When a person dies, the gods must be asked a simple question. Did this person walk only one road or two? Those who walked two roads were called initiates. Their feet touched the village in the daytime, but at night they knew the paths of the forest. And when they died, they could not be buried like ordinary men and women. To do so was to invite calamity. The ritual was precise and unquestioned. The elders would take hair from the head of the dead, nails from their fingers, and walk silently to the shrine beyond the tall Iroko tree. There, the gods would speak, and the gods never lie. From time immemorial, the verdict had always been true. Families cried. Mothers collapsed, sons protested in whispers, but in the end, they obeyed. Those found to be initiates were buried quietly in shallow forest graves. No drums, no celebration, no farewell tears meant for the public eye. Their belongings were laid beside them, returning them fully to the path they chose in life. And once it was done, peace always returned. Until the day Madame Ezen Okafor died. She was not just any woman. She was wealthy, powerful, respected. Her house was large. Her name carried weight. And her children were feared. Her first son, Chief Damien Okafor, was not a small man in the city. His voice reached offices where ordinary people could not even enter. He moved with convoys. His phone calls were answered before the second ring. So when Madame Okafor passed, Atakpa mourned but cautiously. The elders came quietly to the compound, their faces tight with concern. The gods must be consulted, they said. The children bristled. Our mother? Damien snapped. A woman who donated to churches? Who fed the poor? You want to drag her name into forest stories? The elders did not raise their voices. They did not argue. They only warned. Tradition, they said, was not an insult. It was protection. But pride is loud, and power is stubborn. Whispers spread through Atakpa. Fear thickened the air like harmattan dust. And at last, against the family's will, the consultation was done. The shrine spoke, and the village froze. Madame Ezen Okafor was an initiate. The verdict fell like thunder. She must be taken to the forest. No ceremony, No burial in the compound, the gods said. The children exploded in outrage. How will it be said that I did not give my mother a befitting burial? Damien thundered. In this country? In my position? And so, power confronted tradition. On burial day, Atakpa barely recognized itself. Armed security flooded the village. Uniformed men stood where elders should have stood. Event planners replaced mourners. Canopies rose like strange flowers over sacred ground. Music played loudly. Food overflowed. Money sprayed freely, but Atakpa stayed away. Not a single villager attended. They watched from behind doors and windows, fear sealing their feet to the ground. Some whispered regret about the gifts they would miss, the food, the cash. But no appetite was worth angering the gods. Madame Okafor was buried in marble and flowers right there in the family compound. It was grand. It was expensive. It was final. Or so they thought. When the guests returned to the city, laughter trailing behind them, the children decided to remain for a few days to rest, to meet, to plan. That night, Atakpa did not sleep. It began as a whisper drifting through the compound. I do not belong here. Then the wind came violent, sudden, unnatural. Doors slammed without hands. Plates lifted and shattered against walls. Lights flickered wildly. Windows rattled as though something massive pressed against them from the outside. Then the voice returned louder, angrier. I do not belong here. The screams came from everywhere and nowhere. The children ran from room to room, shouting each other's names. Convinced attackers had invaded the house, but the compound was empty. Only the grave glowed faintly under the moon. Suddenly, a whirlwind rose around it, circling, roaring, tearing at the night. For 2 nights, the chaos continued. No prayer worked. No security could stop it. No sleep came. By the 3rd morning, the Okafor children were no longer powerful men and women. They were broken, and so they went to the elders of Atakpa, not standing, not arguing, but on their knees. The elders did not rush to lift them. They watched the Okafor children kneel in the dust, these same people who had once stood above the village, guarded by uniforms and pride. The night wind still clung to their clothes, as though the compound itself had followed them. At last, the oldest elder spoke. You buried what did not belong to the earth of Atakpa, he said quietly. And the earth has rejected it. Chief Damien opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. His eyes were red. His voice, when it finally emerged, was small. What must we do? The elder did not hesitate. You must undo what you have done." Silence fell. "The grave must be opened," the elder continued. "Her body must be taken from your compound. Everything buried with her must follow her. Only then will the gods release you." A murmur passed through the other elders. This was not a small thing. To exhume such a grave was shame upon shame. But worse than shame was what waited if they refused. "And if we leave Atakpa," one of the daughters asked weakly, "if we return to the city?" The elder's eyes hardened. "You can run," he said, "but she will run with you." That night, the compound grew worse. The voice no longer whispered. It screamed. Walls shook as if something huge paced beneath the earth. The air grew cold around the grave, even as the rest of the compound burned with heat. Shadows stretched where no light stood. At one point, a child swore she saw footprints forming by themselves in the sand, leading away from the grave, and then stopping, as if waiting. Before dawn, Chief Damien gave the order. The grave would be opened. No ceremony followed. No announcement was made. Community youths arrived silently, their faces tight with fear. Even the bravest among them avoided looking directly at the grave. When the earth was broken open, a strange wind rushed out, knocking one man to the ground. Another dropped his tool and fled, shouting prayers over his shoulder. Everything that had gone into the grave clothes, jewelry, gifts was gathered again. Nothing was left behind. By first light, a small procession moved toward the forbidden forest. No drums led them. No voices followed them. Only the sound of footsteps and the weight of fear. Deep within the forest, where sunlight struggled to reach the ground, the elders stopped. This was where initiates slept. This was where the village sent what it could not keep. Madame Azin was laid to rest again, this time without marble, without flowers, without pride. The earth closed over her quietly, and then the wind stopped. The forest went still. That night, for the first time since the burial, the Okafor compound was silent. No whispers, no wind, no screams. The children slept, but Atakpa did not forget. From that day on, the Okafor family never stayed long in the village again. Their wealth remained, their influence returned, but something unseen had shifted. Chief Damien no longer spoke loudly of power. The family no longer challenged tradition, and no one ever built a grave inside their compound again. Because in Atakpa, one truth had been carved deeper than ever before. You may bend people, you may silence elders, but when the gods speak, even the dead will rise to correct you.